Welcome back. This is video 2 of 6. This video is shorter than the first video. I hope you tried multiple chatbots and gained experience. I hope it was interesting and useful. Maybe it was exciting. Maybe you caught a chatbot giving an erroneous response. Maybe you used the Chatbot app. I used Meta AI briefly. Nothing special as a chatbot, but it is Meta's chatbot for their apps, Facebook, Instagram, Meta Ray-Ban glasses. Here is a screenshot of a Facebook post. At the bottom, above the thumbs up, there is an icon like a wreath and 2 follow-up questions, generated by Meta AI. I clicked the first question, and Meta AI gave me this response. And there are suggested follow-up questions. I chatted with Pi AI for a couple days and then moved on to other work. Chatbots can act as therapist, counselor, or friend, and some, like Pi AI, are tailored for this. We will not explore this in this course. The assignment for next video, and future videos, has 2 parts. Part B is using the chatbots to summarize an uploaded document, text or PDF, or an article at a web page, given its link or URL. Part A is using chatbots and also non-chatbot AI tools to generate images from our prompts. This is called text to image. I will demonstrate text to image and then explain the assignment. Then I will continue with additional chatbot information and capabilities. This is ChatGPT, a new chat. See the button, create an image? I could click that, but I'm not going to. I am going to just prompt, show Santa Claus entering the White House. And let's see what happens. ChatGPT is working on it. Since 2023, many large language models have been trained to be multimodal, having the ability to also process or generate other types of data than text, such as images and audio. We'll wait for ChatGPT to finish. That took something like 40 seconds or a minute. ChatGPT generated an image. It looks like Santa Claus. It looks like an entrance to the White House. I generally get a different image if I rerun the same prompt. You will get different images generated by different chatbots and non-chatbot AI tools. I didn't click the button, create an image. I didn't say, create an image. I didn't mention DALL-E. I didn't need the paid tier. I didn't have to beg. I just said, show. Here, show implies an image, not text, and chatbots understand language very well. Very nice. So far, so good. But I want to make some changes. This image is now part of the context of this conversation. I can say what changes I want. I could ask it to replace President Obama with another president, but as it happens, what I want to do is to say, change Santa's bag to green and wear Air Jordans. Okay. Santa's bag is now green, and it looks like he's wearing Air Jordans. I did not have to refer to the prior image. I did not have to say that Air Jordans are sneakers or shoes. We could continue to prompt for more changes, but I hope you get the picture. We can download the image to our computer using this button. The non-chatbot AI tools have the same text-to-image capability, but the user interfaces look different than the chatbots. This is Leonardo AI. Clicked Home, and I get a prompt box here where I can enter text to generate an image. Once I enter prompt, I can click this Generate button. If I click on Library, I can see all of the images that I have created. In April 2026, I told various chatbots and non-chatbot AI image tools to show Santa Claus entering the White House. Let's look at the images generated. ChatGPT, nice. I later prompted to change Biden to John Kennedy, and it worked fine. Claude does not generate text to image. It creates diagrams, charts, and interactive visuals using scalable vector graphics and HTML for technical or structured visual needs, but not text to image. Gemini, nice lighting, nice Christmas trees. Santa is leaving, not entering, and I don't know if that is an actual White House entrance. Copilot said, I can't create that image. It involves depicting a current political figure or location in a way that isn't allowed for generated images. Microsoft is being overly cautious. Copilot declined to do most of the images I wanted. Perplexity, nice, soft lighting. Now we get to the non-chatbot AI image generation tools, which you can try. Leonardo AI. Santa's leaving, and I'm not sure that is an actual White House entrance. Canva AI image generator gave 4 images of Santa leaving, but I could not copy-paste them, and I didn't see a download option in free tier. Microsoft Designer. Interesting. No lights on in the White House. So Microsoft Copilot is overly cautious, but Microsoft Designer was amenable. Adobe Firefly. Santa's leaving. Nice Christmas tree. Crayon. Santa's leaving, and I don't think that is the actual White House. Night Cafe. That is not the White House. It looks like the Saturday Evening Post from 100 years ago. And there's a mismatch between sunlight and interior light. Now, we could quibble with the images, but every tool except Copilot generated an image for free, and the images were plausible, with 0 effort on my part. It's easy to get a generated image, but if you want to get an image exactly the way you want it, that can be challenging or frustrating. And you might want to try Adobe Firefly in that case. Let's look at some other generated images. Show Vermeer's girl with a pearl earring, but with Dolly Parton's face. Sometimes a chatbot will refuse to generate an image on the grounds of copyright, trademark, celebrity faces, guardrails, or sensitivity. Sometimes you can get around a restriction by rewording your prompt. For example, narrow brown bottle instead of beer bottle. Generally, the non-chatbot AI tools are more agreeable, but their knowledge of the world is weaker. Here are some images I had Leonardo AI generate and the prompts I use. Create an image of Bugs Bunny talking with Albert Einstein. Leonardo AI readily generated the image of Bugs Bunny with Einstein that some of the chatbots refused. Likewise for celebrity faces and trademarked images. Create an image of Papa Smurf in the style of Pikachu. Create a small portion of a large canvas in Jackson Pollock's drip painting style, but only use paint colors white, yellow, ultramarine blue, and violet. Recreate Edvard Munch's The Scream, but add Daenerys Targaryen riding her dragon Drogon in the sky behind the screamer. I used short prompts for these generated images. I could have used longer prompts and specified more details. I could have used follow-up prompts to get what I want. Here's a somewhat longer prompt. Create a slightly dull, slightly grainy, photorealistic cinematic shot of a white man in a dark brown suit and hat in 1945 on Michigan Avenue in downtown Chicago, with the water tower in the background during afternoon with overcast clouds. It's an interesting image, but that is not Chicago's water tower. The chatbots and Adobe Firefly did a better job with the water tower. A non-chatbot AI tool may not know the correct White House or Chicago's water tower. Create an image of Bugs Bunny talking with Albert Einstein. This image was generated by Gemini, and it includes good context and details for both Bugs Bunny and Einstein without my needing to specify them. If one tool does not give you what you want, try other tools. Text-to-image tools do not always get details correct. The classic case is all chatbots knowing that humans have 5 fingers on each hand and yet repeatedly generating images with 6 fingers, even telling you that there are 5 fingers when you see 6. More recently, image models have been trained on more images of human hands, open, closed, partially hidden, etc., so you might not see this problem anymore. Author Joanna Stern tells a story of telling ChatGPT to generate an image with 5 hamsters. It came back with 6. She repeatedly told it, not 6, make it 5. It repeatedly thought it had generated 5 while showing 6. You can also upload a sketch and have the tool improve it or change it. Here are 4 examples from ChatGPT. A house and path and a tree, a dragon, planets and stars, and a drawing that I made long ago. You can also upload a photograph or image and have it turned into a sketch, a caricature, or a different image. I had Leonardo AI turn the following modified image into a sketch. Let's look at the second assignment. Spend 2 to 3 hours on this 2-part assignment. Part A is text to image. I would like you to create different types of images using one or more tool from each of the following 2 groups, chatbots and image tools. A few times you should direct how to revise the image after it is produced. At least once you should direct several revisions iteratively. So, chatbots, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Copilot. Perplexity and Copilot have some issues, which I've shown in red. Here are the non-chatbot text-to-image tools. Leonardo, Canva, AI Image Generator has some red issues. Google Labs Flow, Microsoft Designer, Adobe Firefly, Crayon, and Night Cafe. The non-chatbot tools have the same text-to-image capability, but The user interfaces look different than the chatbots, and the chatbots understand image content better. I'm going to let you figure them out and play with them. We're only using free tools. Don't pay for an upgrade or give them your credit card number. If one of the tools does not work for you, use a different tool. I give you a file of example prompts for text to image, but only to stir your imagination. Use your own interests. And there are notes. There are legal issues about using tools to create images. Do you own the images or video generated by an AI tool? Does the company own it? What rights do you retain to use and reproduce? What rights does the company retain? Can you be held legally liable if you sell, publish, or distribute content generated by AI that might infringe someone's copyright or trademark even if you don't realize it? Part B, summarizing documents and web pages. Part B is using chatbots and non-chatbot tools to summarize documents, uploaded documents, and web pages via their links. You will upload a PDF or text file to a chatbot prompt and then prompt it to generate a summary of the file. Then you can ask the chatbot questions about the summary or the document. You will also ask a chatbot to summarize a web page given the link. Try one or more of the following appropriate to the task: Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Google Notebook LM, TLDR This, SipZip AI. For this assignment, try summarizing some short PDF or text files and some web pages one at a time. Give the same prompt to multiple tools and see how the summaries compare. I give you a folder of example files, or you can use your own. I give you links to example articles, or you can use your own. I give example prompts and refinements from me and from the chatbots. After this assignment, I hope you will remember the 5 leading chatbots, be comfortable trying each, and remember some sense of when to use or avoid each. Let's upload a PDF to Claude and have it summarize it. We click plus and then add files. I'm going to select this document. For the prompt, I will just start with the simple summarize this document. Claude generated a summary. We could do a follow-up prompt if we want a longer or shorter summary, or different formatting. We can ask questions about the document or the summary. We can always use the copy button to copy the response to the clipboard and paste it into a word processing document or an email. We can upload a file for other purposes. We could ask the chatbot questions to be answered from the information in the document. We can use data in the file to have the chatbot do computations. This may work well or poorly. I will show you a PDF file with a table of information about people. Let's have ChatGPT analyze the data in that file. I will prompt, who are the oldest and youngest people in this file and what are their ages? And it calculated correctly this time. Claude and Copilot each got this correct once and incorrect a second time. So beware trusting the results. The chatbots can do complicated analysis and calculations, but beware trusting the results. Let's use Gemini. I'll give it a link to a BBC article about the Iran war. I'll prompt, summarize the article at this link, and give the link. And Gemini summarizes the article for us. The link can be to a web page, HTML, or a file, text or PDF, or a YouTube video for Gemini. Sometimes you want to tell the chatbot, summarize this document, only use the provided text, so that it does not include past conversation or training data about that document. For example, other people's assessments of the document. We may want the chatbot to generate a summary of the lyrics of a famous song without referencing summaries of or discussions about the song present in the training data from the internet. You can use the chatbots to summarize a news article, a scientific or technical article, a web page, a story, a poem, song lyrics, etc. Now let's continue with more information about chatbots. I am not an expert. If you doubt or don't like some answer I gave, ask a chatbot or multiple chatbots. If I was wrong, please email me. When you have a question about how chatbots work, ask a chatbot. When you have a question about how a particular chatbot works, ask that chatbot. For example, will being more polite in my prompt make the response more accurate? It turns out it won't make the response more accurate, but you can write it politely if you wish. I will give you a link to prompts you might ask chatbots about chatbots. Chatbot user interfaces, commonality, and differences. The user interfaces for different chatbots have a lot of commonality and also differences. Let's look at this. The user interfaces have evolved and continue to change. I will present the picture from May-June 2026. Before you submit a prompt, you may be able to specify whether you want a fast answer or deeper thinking or the level of effort shown here for Claude. You may also be able to specify which generative language model you want to use, though there is little or no choice for free tier. Next, let's look at the buttons at the end of the chatbot's response to our prompt. And here I'm showing ChatGPT. These chatbots all have thumbs up, thumbs down, and copy response to clipboard. All but Perplexity can retry the last prompt. All but Perplexity can read the response aloud, which Gemini calls listen. All have some capability for sharing a chat with email, social media, or via a link. Gemini has draft in Gmail and export to Docs. For Perplexity, the share button at the top has additional functionality. Also, the three dots button can export a thread in different formats. When you share a chat with other parties, beware that there have been instances where such shared chats have appeared in Google search. Some chatbots show a sources button after some chats, so you can verify information against sources or do further research. Claude sometimes includes source links after paragraphs. I won't cover the other capabilities. Now let's look at some of the options when we click the plus sign at the prompt. These chatbots all have the capability to add or upload files and/or images or photos. You will use this in Part B of the second assignment. Gemini, ChatGPT, and Copilot have an item to create or generate an image or photos. I don't think you need to select this when your prompt indicates you want to create or generate an image. I never select this. This item might be historical from when the chatbot needed to invoke a different tool, DALL-E or Nano Banana, to generate an image. Now the capability is integrated, multimodal. Perplexity generates images without this item. Claude does not support text-to-image. I have not yet used deep research. For Perplexity, there is a search button with a menu. Use this to access deep research or learn step by step. For Copilot, there is a smart button with a menu. Use this to access study and learn, smart, think deeper, or search. For Claude, you can install Skills Learn. More on study and learn in a later video. For Claude, web search, enabled or disabled, is a per chat setting, disabled by default. When this is disabled, Claude generates its responses from its trained model and does not go out to the internet for current information, current news, current events, or the weather forecast. When it is enabled, Claude can go out to the internet for current information when it interprets that you want current information. Some chatbots can access other tools via connectors, plugins, or gems when you allow it. Now let's look at most of the options in the left sidebar. These chatbots all have the capability to start a new chat. Most have the capability to search your chats. We will cover projects in the third video. If you become experienced with ChatGPT, you may want to browse plugins. Now let's hover on a chat and look at some of the ... options. These are different for a non-project chat and a chat in a project. We will cover projects in the third video. These chatbots all have the capability to rename or delete a chat. All but Perplexity have the capability to move or add a non-project chat to a project or notebook, Gemini. All but Copilot have the capability to remove a chat from a project, so it becomes a non-project chat. For ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity, you only see this option when the chat is in a project. ChatGPT has the capability to archive a chat to declutter your space without deleting the chat. To unarchive an archived chat, go to Settings, Data Control, Archive Chats. I will give you a link to this material for chatbot user interfaces, commonality, and differences. You may want to know the date for an old prompt and response. For ChatGPT, click the three dots after the old response. For Claude, hover on the old prompt. I don't see the capability for Gemini, Perplexity, or Copilot, but I have not asked the chatbots. Memory, remember and forget. Add a prompt. You could tell a chatbot to remember something about you or your preferences. This is called memory or explicit memory. Chatbots generally will remember that information and use it as context in responding to your prompts, though this is dependent on the chatbot and configuration settings, which we will cover later. You can later prompt the chatbot to forget that information. You should try this remember and forget capability. Here are some example prompts. Remember that I live in Peoria, Illinois. Remember that I have college-level science, math, and engineering knowledge. Remember that I prefer metric units in technical discussions. Forget that I prefer metric units. Remember that I prefer scientifically defensible answers. Remember that I prefer concise evidence-based answers with sources when possible. Remember that I prefer concise answers first, then details. Remember to quantify uncertainty when possible. Forget my response style preferences. What do you remember for me? Forget all stored memories about my personal preferences. Clear all memories from previous conversations. Of particular interest is what do you remember for me, which you should try. I will give you a link to guidance from ChatGPT on prompting to remember and forget. If you intend for the chatbot to remember something forever, and you do not plan on later telling it to forget, in the fourth video, we will learn about a setting for custom instructions, which is preferable. Use remember for things you later may prompt the chatbot to forget, or for memories within a project. You could tell the chatbot to remember things that you tend to forget that have nothing to do with your normal use of the chatbot, but this can clutter normal use. Whether the chatbot should or should not use this remembered information as context for responses is a configuration setting, which we will cover in the fourth video. We will cover more on memory in the third video and more on context in the fifth video. This completes the second video. I encourage you to spend time on the second assignment before continuing to the third video.